Now, our first speaker has been a tech operator for 10 years, comes from France, and today he's running the B2B SaaS company Lemlist. Many of you might know it. It gives salespeople an unfair advantage in sales. So who doesn't want that? We've actually been using it and we like it a lot. Now, what many of you might not know is at $38 million ARR, Lemlist is actually bootstrapped. Now, that's, I think, something many founders would aspire to. And we have Charles with us today here, and he's going to tell us how they themselves overcame a growth plateau and what other founders and CEOs can learn from that. Welcome on stage, Charles. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me well? Okay, yeah, perfect. Thank you for being here, and really happy to share some story. So the story I wanted to share today is how we overcame the growth plateau. So I joined Lemlist in 2023, and the company was plateauing, so it was not growing anymore, which can happen to any business, even the best ones, right? And so I tried to, now that we're growing again, I tried to think of what helped us to change that and find growth again. And I will be very modest here. I have no secret recipe. Every business is different, but I try to think of what worked for us and that potentially can help others. So I hope that you will find some answers if that's something that you have encountered or will encounter in the future. So of course, when you lose growth, it's a tragedy in a company that used to grow because everybody loves growth. Growth means opportunity for people. It means that you have like a career path in the company, that new things will happen. So when you have a business that used to grow and then it stops, it's like a cold shower, for everyone because people are like, what the fuck is going on? And so this is what happened. So here is a historical AR of Lemlist up to the end of 2022, I guess. So you see the business was growing very fast. Like it took 1 year to get to 1 million from the time that they were starting to have PMF. And then they grew from 1 million to 7 million in 1 year. So huge growth. And then to 7 to 14 million. So imagine like the team was like crazy when they were able to grow from 7 to 14 million in 1 year while being bootstrapped and generating like 30% of EBITDA. So they were feeling that they were the king of the world. And so you expect to go even further when you're here. But the truth is that this is what happened. So instead of like going up, it became flat. And the overall reason of that is basically when you do SaaS, you know that when acquisition is not bigger than churn, then what happens? That the AR doesn't move anymore. And so this is the financial view. But behind this financial view, there is a lot of things. Like there is a system. And I know that many people promise like lots of easy answer, like 5 tricks to be successful in SaaS. The truth is like a business is a system, and you cannot never fix a system if you don't understand the system on its own. It's like exactly the same as if you have an injury in the arm. Sometimes it's not because of the arm. It can be because of the heart. It can be because of the brain. It can be because of anything. And you have to think as a CEO of your business as a system, and not necessarily try to patch things. Because usually when you try to patch something, you just fix short-term problems, but short-term problem fixing just creates more problems for the long term. And so, I will show you and try to explain how we achieve that. So this is where we're at now. Actually, we are at 35 million because in September, this month, like 2 days ago, we added another 2 millions in 1 month. So today we are at 35 million, while still being bootstrapped, still being profitable. So you can see the growth. What happened is that 2023 was 0% growth. 2024 was like 25% growth in AR. And 2025 now, this year, we have 70% growth in 9 months. So how did we reignite growth? I will disappoint people, but I will not be talking about AI. I will be talking mostly about humans, because it's humans who do companies. And I will not be talking about total addressable markets, which is another topic. And we didn't have this problem at Lemlist because Lemlist is operating in the sales engagement market, which is huge. Like it's estimated to 10 to 20 billion. So we didn't have a TAM problem. But what I can tell you is that very often when you think that you're not growing because your TAM is supposed to be reached, very often it's not the case, and I've been advisor and operator in other companies before, where everybody was saying, okay, we have reached the end of the total addressable market, this is why we are not growing so fast anymore. And my belief is that most of the time it's an execution problem and not a TAM problem. And if your TAM is really hit, then the best thing to do is always to try to cross-sell to your existing user, and you can always find ways to do that with innovation. So the first problem we had was that Lemlist was not built for one type of person, so we lacked focus. Basically, Lemlist users were of 5 types. They were sales, marketers, founders, agencies, and recruiters. And what happens is when you build a product for everyone, you build a product for no one. And so I can give you some example, but the head of product was coming to me saying, okay, we have this feedback from recruiters, what should we do? And the answer is, we should do nothing. It's important to listen to users, it's important to listen to customers, but are they the users we want to build the product for? And at that time, we had 50% of our users that were founders. So the logical thing was to continue to build the product for founders, but the problem we were finding was that founders had very high churn because of the nature of their business. And so we had like a debate for months where it was the heart versus the brain. The heart was like, continue to build the product for founders, and the brain was more, okay, let's build a product for teams that can be more sticky. And I think we took too long to decide. We took maybe 3 to 6 months to really decide. But when we decided to create the product for sales team. And so it was meaning to go slightly up market because our average number of users per customer was like 1.2. So it means that on average, a Lemlist customer had 1.2 users. So it was very small business. Even though we had companies with 50, 100, 200 employees, it was not the main type of user. And so we decided to focus on sales team and to be the perfect product for engaging for small sales teams. So we initially targeted like 3 to 10 to 20 sales reps. Now we are seeing that building this product with sales team and knowing that we're selling to sales team, we are learning every day. And which is great, what is great is really that because we talk to our user every day, it's not like a big pivot. And my advice is never to pivot unless you're really pre-PMF and you're not finding a PMF. But I think when you have post-PMF, we didn't say, okay, let's ignore founder and let's just build for sales team and forget everything from the past. We were, okay, this is doing 50% of our revenue. It's not what we want to build, but we want to still preserve it. We want to still build on these trends that we are a good product that founders love, and we want to help founders be successful. But in the meantime, the product will evolve to be able to work for the sales team. And so the lesson here is like, one, you need to be clear on your strategy. You need to have a clear strategy that aligns everyone. And the other learning is that there is no perfect strategy. Like, I don't know if the founder strategy was maybe better, maybe it was, but I know that a good strategy is a strategy that people believe in. So I think people overthink. Are they finding the right strategy? Are they having the right strategy? But I think it doesn't really matter. I think there are many different good strategies, but what matters is how much you believe in your strategy and how much are you able to transfer the belief to your teams and create alignment. But you can create the same very big, very successful company with different strategies and they can work. So I think this is really important, and this was a bit my problem because I was always like trying to find the perfect answer, and sometimes you just have to stop thinking and start moving. The second problem was the team was really a team of like doers, so junior profiles that were seen by Guillaume, the founder, like as very strong doers, so people being able to do, to ship a lot, like to produce a lot of things. And the view, and so he had like 13 direct reports, and the view at that time was that you cannot hire senior people because senior people, they are not doers anymore. They are like people who want to live in slides, in reportings, and so there was this big belief that senior is evil. And that was something that really drew my attention because I didn't want to just be the guy who have money and just hire like a bunch of senior people who will tell me everything I want to hear. It's easy as a CEO when you have money to hire senior people who make you feel safe, And usually when people try to make you feel safe, it should be a big red flag, like what's going on, like what's the real problem that the team is having that I don't hear about. And so my fear was really that. But in the meantime, I realized that it was impossible to create a very successful business if you don't attract people that have already some management experience or who are at least able to manage people and make sure that people are happy in their day-to-day and able to execute correctly. So what we did is that for each people, so we created a steer co with like C-level, like CPO, CMOs, but everyone was hired on a different method and for a different reason. For instance, our CPO was a former consultant to us, so he started as a product advisor, and we really clicked with him, and he did a 1-week audit, and 3 weeks after he wrote me an email saying, I would love to join the company, can I join the company? And so we already knew him. The CMO we hired, she did a podcast and an event with Guillaume, so he already worked with her. So every C-level we hired, we already had previous network connection or something that linked to them. But the general idea is that you can hire senior people who are doers, that exist. But how do you do that? First, you lead by example, by being a doer yourself. So this is one example, but for instance, for a VP of customer experience, I hired the person myself. I didn't take a recruiter. I could have paid an agency 100,000 euro. I don't care, I have money, so I can do that and just leave and be chill. But no, I decided to do it myself, to find the profiles, to contact them, to meet them as a first step. And it says a lot to them right away. Like, I'm not sending someone to hire them, I'm doing it myself. So if you join us, you'll have to be a doer. And that's the message that I'm sending when I do that. And the second thing that really helped is having like a very strong culture. And this is very bullshit in many companies, like we care, we dare, customer first, it's always the same. So I think like what matters in life and in business is what you do differently. It's not what you do exactly the same as people. And so what we try to do differently is to be a bit provocative. So for instance, we have a value that says no babysitting, which can scare people, but I think everything that scares people is good, because by scaring people, you're naturally filtering. And when you naturally filter, then you have people who will have higher likelihood to fit and click with your team. And so we really try to be very strong on the value, and so we talk a lot about that when hiring. And of course, we have a lot of examples. And I can give you, for instance, question that I ask in interview is like, for a CPO, that would be like, when is the last time you shipped a feature? Why did you ship this feature? How did you do it? Like, what was the process for interviewing customer? Like, what was the problem you encountered with the tech team? What was the edge case that you had to face in this feature? And when you deep dive, you know very easily if the person is like just the guy who overseen product development, or is like committed to product development and being like into product development itself. And so we hired overall we hired executives that are doers, and that really fits well for the type of company we want to build, which is a small and agile team of like 130 people now, but with leadership that is really hands-on and working on the product, working on the marketing. And one thing that I'd like to say is that the biggest red flag you can have for hiring an executive is people who don't want to do the actual job anymore. So a CRO who doesn't want to do sales anymore and has become a CRO for not doing sales, or a CMO who doesn't want to produce marketing anymore and has become a CMO just not to do the job, to do the craft anymore, for me is like the biggest type of red flag, because being a C-level or VP level just means that you love the job so deeply and you love the people, and you're very fine to do it still. Okay. Tips number 3, the product didn't evolve fast enough. So for 1 year, they were only fixing technical debt. And the problem of that is when you don't innovate, you're not seen as an innovator. And there is a lot of belief that distribution is what matters the most. And yes, it matters the most, but product development feeds distribution, because you can talk about new feature, you can be seen as an innovator, partners can talk about you. And so people don't really see that, because distribution has a direct impact on growth, but product has an indirect impact on growth, and you don't see it. But I can tell you from the different companies I've been in or advising, what's funny is that when the product doesn't evolve, it takes 1 to 2 years to see the plateau, and it comes after, because and when you try to deep dive, you go to sales and they say, yeah, the product is not evolving. Then you go to the CEO and say, the sales are saying that the product is not evolving, and they say, no, but the sales are just finding excuse, but when you look, the product is not evolving, and so the product needs to evolve. As I said, it's a system, and you always need to have your product evolve and have new things, because we are in a very competitive world in SaaS, and if you don't show new things, people will not see you as an innovator, and nobody wants to work with a product that's not an innovator anymore. And so that was another very important thing. And the way we did it is that, and we tried to scale it, is we hire very, very senior product people. So for instance, our latest product manager was a former VP, and he had 50 people to manage, and now he has 0 person to manage. So the narrative was, if you're bored of like living in reportings, dashboards, and you want to actually ship value for users, here is a good place. We'll give you a lot of means, like a dev team for you, and you will be very independent. You will have one vision, but you will have a lot of room for innovation on your end. And so we hire very senior people. We create one vision, and then the senior people, they have one squad with designer and developers, and they are focusing on one scope, because I do believe that you cannot scale a good company without giving distributed ownership, and past like 50 people, you need to distribute ownership in your team. And you can only do that if you have senior people who understand and buy your vision. I see that I have only 1 minute, so I need to go fast. I think I've been screwed on the time, right? Because it was already 3 minutes past, so. But it's fine. So product innovation means growth. The problem number 4 is like the company was only relying on one channel, which is social. And social depends on personal brands. And so, for instance, we had 2 influencers like Kevin and Luca who stopped posting. And so it can be really dangerous and limiting to be only on one channel. So in one way, of course, you need focus. And if you are a 10-person business, you need focus and you need to have only one GTM channel. But when you are past 15, 20 million AR, you need to have different channels, because you need to have diversified risk and to find growth on other channels. So you need to preserve your historical channel, but on the meantime, you need to find new channels, and ideally channels that are adjacent and that will feed your main distribution channels. And so the channel we chose was influence marketing. So for instance, working with influencer partners like ColdIQ. So ColdIQ was not working with us, and so we had to build the relationship with them. And now they are talking a lot about us, and we have like great relationship. They know the product, they love it. So influence was a big one. Affiliation has been another good one. And the third one was sales-led. So we were only PLG. And now to give you an idea, in this quarter, we had, I think, 5 million of net new AR in 1 quarter. And which is like, this is crazy. I didn't put the chart, but it's awesome because it grows like very fast. And 25% of that comes from sales touch leads. So we are seeing that PLG and sales-led growth like are really like working very well together. And thinking that when you're PLG, you don't need sales is actually a mistake. So that's a very good way when you're a PLG business. That's a very good thing to add a SLG motion. So I'm past in time, so I will just go very quick. Of course, the last maybe thing that I can share that's very helpful is you need to preserve talent density at all costs. Talent density is everything in a business. And one way I did it, very practical, is that when I joined, there were like 40 people. And so I put, it's awful, and people will say that I'm evil, but I put everyone in a file, in a spreadsheet, and I went to each manager, and I say, can you tell me on 0 to 10, how do you rate this person? And for me, it was not 8 or above or 9 or above, that it meant that there was a problem. And it's not because the person is bad, it's because the person is maybe not used correctly, maybe they need another type of environment. But to be honest, like I do think that if you have people in your team that you would not hire anymore today, this person needs to go. Or they need to be trained heavily, or they need to be changed role. Of course, there are many solutions, but the talent density is incredibly important. And the problem of why talent density drops with time, and as businesses grow, is just because lack of courage. Because it takes a lot of courage to admit that someone who is nice and okay is not awesome, and they need to go or be put somewhere else. But the problem is that courage is required because when you have 2 people in the same team, the person who is doing great is seeing the person who is doing average. Okay, so these are the 5 lessons. I hope that was helpful, and thank you so much.